Cool. Okay, I think it's recording now. Did you get the notification? Okay, cool. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's general meeting. Today, we're going to be talking about beach scholarships with our TPAC advisor, Gabby. Before we start, just a little bit of announcements. So we have our social this Sunday, Mola, we are going out to see the Afro Latinx Festival from 11 to 5, and it's free on Sundays. So all you have to worry about is parking, probably. But yeah, so that's that. And then we are still recruiting for PR and community outreach. So if you guys want to send us a DM, if you guys are interested, let us know. And yeah, further ado, we could go on with Gabby to talk about the scholarships.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name's Gabby Robles. I'm one of the TPAC advisors. So TPAC is the Teacher Preparation Advising Center, and formerly Camino's academic coach, right? So there's always those ties right there. So the Caminantes asked me if I could do a presentation on financial aid. And this is something that we used to provide in the Caminos program before. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to have a presentation, and we're going to talk some financial aid and scholarship stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. If the host will let me share my screen.
Oh my gosh, it's not okay. Let me just change that up. Should I make you host so then you could share your screen?
Sure. Unless you need to let people in, can you make me co-host?
Okay, let me see. No. Well, there's no waiting room, so people could come in whenever they want.
Okay.
I'll make you host.
Alrighty. Okay, so this should work now. Okay. You see that okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna put present mode. All right, so we're gonna go generally, right? Financial aid review and applying for scholarships. Yeah, financial aid review, we'll go over beach scholarships and then some tips and strategies as you all are writing your responses for the scholarship questions, okay? So just some quick tips. Students will ask what type of financial aid is available to credential students. So the credential is not a degree. So as undergraduate students, you get a certain type of aid through financial aid. And then as graduate students, there's also financial aid. Credential students is a little bit different because it's not a degree, it's a credential, but there's still financial aid available for you all. So something I really do recommend that you all do is if you go on YouTube and you look up CSULB Enrollment Services. Enrollment Services has a YouTube page where they have all these videos on like how to or more information. And one of those is financial aid for credential students. So I really advise that you all take a look at that because it'll really break down what financial aid looks like for credential students. And this is the page you're looking for. Sorry, that's not that one. This one, right? Financial aid for credential students. It's an 8-minute long video. It'll explain like how many units you need to be enrolled in to be considered for full financial aid. All that great stuff is in this video. So I highly, highly recommend that you all watch it, especially if you know you're going to be coming back as a post-bac student for a credential program, right? Or you are already a post-bac student and you're like, I don't know how financial aid works. Definitely take a look at this video. And if you have more specific financial aid questions, definitely contact the financial aid office and they'd be more than happy to help you all out, okay? So that is one. Another tip, submit your FAFSA. Your FAFSA and your California DREAM Act application. That deadline is March 2nd, so that's creeping up. Definitely do that. When I was a student and I graduated and I didn't know that I was gonna be a student the next year, I still filled out FAFSA just in case, right? So definitely fill both of those out because in the future, if you're gonna apply for scholarships or grants, they wanna see that you filled out FAFSA and they wanna see proof of need, basically. So fill out your FAFSA, fill out your California DREAM Act as well. Deadline is March 2nd, okay? All right, so a really good way to get some financial help as a credential student is to apply for a grant. And there's two main grants that you can do as a credential student. And that's the Teach Grant and the Golden State Teacher Grant. And actually, if I can push you in any other direction, we will push you to do the Golden State Teacher Grant. It's more money, right? You get up to $20,000 if you get the grant. And basically, you just have to meet some criteria after you finish your credential program, which basically is here that you see on point C, is you will teach in a high need field at a priority school as determined by the CTC for 4 years, right? And within 5 years after you receive the teaching credential. So basically, they award you the money. You work at a school that's in one of their lists. And then if you fulfill all of the criteria, then you don't have to pay any of the money back, right? So that's how that works. I will say for the Golden State Teacher Grant, it is rolling admissions, right? So you have to fill out FAFSA and then you apply. You won't get the money. You won't see the money until you're actually admitted to the credential program. So that's one thing to note. And it is a pretty lengthy process. They take quite a while to process these. I've heard folks of not really seeing the money until maybe 5 months after the fact, but that's just kind of how it happens. So just have patience for this. But I have come across a couple of students, even as Camino's coach, who did get the Golden State Teacher Grant. And I mean, up to 20 Gs sounds pretty good. You work at a high need school and then you don't have to pay it back. So these are definitely some grants for you all to take a look at. But step number 1, fill out FAFSA because they want to see that you did that. All right, and one of the big things that you can do right now, if you're in Cal State Long Beach, is do beach scholarships. So what are beach scholarships, right? What's the eligibility? I have a video that I wanted to show you all that basically goes over it. But I think I have to be able to share my sound. Sorry, give me 1 second.
It's okay.
Yeah, because I always forget to check that button, share
Yeah.
sound. And of course, now I can't find it.
I think it should be. Is it like when you put like video settings? If you go, does it say?
Hold on.
Okay.
Advanced, I think so. Yeah, you're right. Load this.
Yeah.
Um,
And go to audio, and I think it should let you.
it's the audio one, huh?
Yeah. I think.
Oh man, I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's okay. I'm also the same way sometimes. I'm like,
I used to know where this button was at. No problem. Oh, okay, never mind. I
Oh, you
figured.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, y'all. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you this how to apply for beach scholarships video. Since there's already a resource out there, I figured let's use it. And it's available here.
This video will go over beach scholarship seasons, processes, and tips for successfully submitting your applications. Click this link in your Student Center to get started. You may also access beach scholarships by going to www.csulb.edu/scholarships. Currently enrolled CSULB students can apply for campus scholarships based on college major and university-wide categories. A student ID is required to sign in. All students are encouraged to apply for beach scholarships each season, regardless of their immigration status. Beach scholarships has 2 seasons every academic year. Fall season, which is open for 1 month from August to September, provides opportunities for College of Business as well as university-wide scholarships. Spring season, which is open from November through March of the next year, offers opportunities for all other colleges as well as general university-wide scholarships. Now let's go over the application process. Beach Scholarships has a 3-level application process: the general application, departmental application, and recommended scholarships. You will begin by entering your anticipated graduation date. Then you will please select all that apply. These are statements you will check off that best describe you. Statements such as, I am a first-generation student, I am a single parent, I am a re-entry student, and more. Checking off these statements will help build your recommended scholarships list, which we'll touch on later. You will then be prompted to answer 5 specific questions. Each answer should have a maximum of 250 words per question. Scholarship applications with personal statements or short answer responses are one of the most important parts of the application process. Your statements allow the selection committee to get to know you as an individual and become invested in your future. Describe your personal background and any obstacles or challenges you have overcome. Tell the reader about an accomplishment you are proud of. Share some examples of determination and perseverance. It could be anything from a physical, emotional, or mental experience. This question does not necessarily mean you had to go through major or traumatic life challenges. What are your reasons for choosing your academic field of study, including any concentrations? What and/or who motivated you to choose your major? What are you interested in? Discuss your short and long-term academic and/or professional achievements. Short-term would be considered 1 to 2 years after you graduate, and long-term would be considered 5 years and beyond your graduation. Discuss 3 academic, leadership, volunteer, community, and/or professional achievements. This can be a combination of any 3 of these achievements. Share something that you're proud of or have excelled at. Describe your financial need. You'll explain changes in your financial or personal situation that will affect the upcoming academic year. Think about recent changes in your financial need. Once you submit your general application, you can begin departmental applications. These are also referred to as college-level applications, and questions can include selecting all that apply, general short answer questions, references, letters of recommendation, your resume, unofficial transcripts, research documents, and more. Once you finish and submit, you will be auto-matched to college and departmental scholarships for which you qualify. Lastly, once you submit your general application and all of your departmental applications, you will receive a list of recommended scholarships. Questions can include general short answer questions, essays, references, letters of recommendation, your resume, unofficial transcripts, research documents, and more. A confirmation email will be sent after each application you complete. Recipients will be notified by the end of the semester, and students who have not received any scholarships at the close of the season will also receive a notification email. Students awarded scholarships will receive their disbursement the following semester after the application deadline. For example, Fall 2020 application season would equal a Spring 2021 disbursement. Spring 2021 application season would equal a Fall 2021 disbursement.
Grammarly is a digital writing assistant software that I personally use.
All right, so that gives us a pretty good idea of what beach scholarships are, how they're distributed, and what you need to apply. So just a short reminder, if you go to your SSO page, you should have a checklet for beach scholarships. So that's an easy way for you all to access it right away without having to remember like a website. Something else I'd like to remind you all of is they're due March 13th. So that means you all have maybe a couple of weeks to really jump on this, get your responses in and apply. It's a really good opportunity to, get some money. And it's widespread, right? With one application, it's going off to so many different scholarships that are being offered. So the rest of the presentation, we're going to take some time looking at the questions individually and just getting some tips on how to answer those questions so that you all can get submitted by that March 13th deadline. And I always suggest to students to submit before the deadline because everyone is trying to get in their stuff that last day and the website might crash, and you don't want that to be the thing that's stopping you from getting your application. Okay. right. So first, some just like general writing tips and strategies for when you're answering your questions. So they did say there was going to be 5, right? And each of them are up to 250 words. So you really want to be personal and genuine, right? You really want to highlight your story and your experiences and let your truth and your passion come through the responses. So something I tell students is like, they're not going to meet you or see you in person. So how are you going to connect to that person that's reading your application? And you also don't need to come up with any stories, right? Or sound like super extravagant. Your own truth is what's going to come through. So I always say be genuine, right? You also don't want to lie on here or make up stuff. Because your story, your truth is enough, right? Tip number 2 is really sticking to the prompt or sticking to that question and being specific and providing details when you're answering that question. So stay focused, write about specific events, specific anecdotes or life moments, and be descriptive. You want to be able to provide detail, support, evidence to back up whatever it is that you're providing for that question. Okay. And you also have only 250 words, so you also want to be concise, right? And that's also why you want to be detailed. You don't want to be too general, where the reader doesn't really get to know you or know what you're talking about. So that's why staying focused on the question is really important. Another tip I have for you all is to prepare and start early, right? I'm a strong advocate of doing an outline, right? For every question, do an outline. So do a brainstorm outline, get your points down, and then start building on those points. I also do not recommend to write directly on the app. Write your responses on a Word doc or wherever you best take notes. Edit, right? Edit your responses. And then once you have a final version, go into the Beach Scholarship site and put in your responses. And like I said before, always submit before the due date because you don't want any technology, right, to prevent you from submitting by the deadline. Okay, so now we're going to dig into the actual questions and some tips for answering those. Okay, so the first one is describe your personal background and any obstacles or challenges that you have overcome. So here you really want to paint a picture of who you are, right? What shaped your identity? What has made you the person that you are in this moment? What has carried you to this point in time in your personal life, in your professional life, in your academic life, right? So the readers can't see or talk with you. So what impression do you want to leave with them? And I know personal background can cover a lot of different things, right? But what's the most important to you, right? What's really like, what has made you you? What has impacted you? What experience have you had that you're like, oh my God, I really got through that, but I came out at the end of this like this, or learning this lesson, right? Or growing. You know, I know for some folks, their various identities have a large impact on how, you know, they walk through the world, how they walk through CSULB, right? So I would definitely say these are things that you can discuss in this first question, okay? Question number 2, what are your reasons for choosing your academic fields of study, including any concentrations? So this is a really good place for you to talk about what you're passionate about. Why did you choose your major? Why did you pick that credential program, right? What communities do you want to serve? Why did you pick that particular subject or that minor, right? Or that emphasis, that concentration if you're a liberal studies major? And really talk about the impact of your own educational journey. Is there a professor that you had that really, you know, impacted the perspective that you have on the world? And that's why, like, oh, I know I want to teach English because my English professor really taught it from a perspective that I didn't think about before, right? That's something you can include in this, right? Your reason for choosing a minor, right? I know we're in the College of Education and we're really talking about, you know, teaching and credentials and maybe future advisors and counselors, but I know all of you have other interests, right? And why do you have those other interests? What can you do with them, right? So we really want to see your passion come through here and really explain why you're in the field that you're in, okay? And I know it maybe sounds like, you know, I don't know how to talk about myself or my passions, right? I don't want to sound too braggy, right? None of that, right? This is about really highlighting you, what you've done, what inspires you. All right, number 3, discuss your short-term and long-term academic and or professional goals. I know this was especially tough for some people because thinking about the future is not something that maybe we do all the time. And it might be a little bit scary, especially if you're close to graduation. And I know students are like, people are already asking me what I'm going to do or where I envision myself. And that's okay, right? Thinking about the future can be a little bit scary. But something that I suggest for students to do is picture like the best professional self, especially for that long-term goal, which is typically 5 years and beyond. So 5 to 10 years from now, like, where do you envision yourself? What do you wish you want to be or get to or be doing, right? And a lot of these like scholarships, people want to see that you have drive, right? That you have commitment, that you have motivation, and what those end goals are going to be. So even if you feel like at this point it doesn't sound realistic, just go for it and write about it, because who's to say that it's not going to happen? So for long term, definitely think that, right? Think of your best professional self at that point. And within the next 1 to 2 years, right? What would that look like? You know, maybe you are deciding on doing a credential. Maybe you're deciding to get a master's in education in one of our programs here. What is it going to take for you to get there? What are the steps you're going to do? What are the immediate steps you need to do to get to that 5-year plan, that 10-year plan? So these are all things that you can definitely put down here. And like I said, realistically, maybe you're not going to do your PhD or master's and become a principal and a superintendent within the next 5 to 10 years. But if that's what you maybe envision at some point, why not? Why not? Write it down. Let them know you want to be a leader. Let them know you want to have community change and be transformative. Let them know if you want to blend different areas, right? Maybe you really enjoy social media and marketing. Let me tell you, I was just speaking to a student, that'll be infused into every area of our professional lives. People want to know how to reach out. Can you blend that with the education? Absolutely. What are we doing right now? We're using Zoom and a video to make accessible later so students can get the information, right? Talk about this. I would say don't limit yourself, okay? Next question. Discuss 3 academic, leadership, volunteer, community, and or professional achievements. So I know previously I said sometimes it's hard to talk about your achievements. Don't be shy, right? I definitely recommend that in this section, don't use words like, I think, I believe I'm like this. No, say, I am strong, right? I know how to be resilient. I know how to organize. I know how to bring people together. So none of these, I believe, I should, I don't know. Really talk about your way in a way like that's confident, that you know what you're about, even if it's you've had some struggles, right? What did you work through? How did you solve problems? Because people want to see that you're able to take a situation that's maybe a little bit difficult and you work through it. You create a solution. So yeah, these are highlighting things that you're just awesome at. And they don't necessarily need to be academic or professional, right? These could be things. So awards and recognitions, definitely, right? If you've been on the dean's list, if you've been recognized for being a great leader in an organization or at the school, or if you hold positions in like ASI or board positions, things like that, you want to definitely highlight on here. It could also be stuff outside of school. I know some of you are really involved in your community and in different aspects, different organizations within your community. So I would definitely include those things there because that's really important. Not just what you do at school at CCOB, but what do you do outside of CCOB? You know, students, for example, I know a student that's really involved with their church and their church leaders, right? And they run youth groups. And that's really important, right? Or folks who do grassroots organizing or go protest, right? Or, so many things, activism, community roles, also family roles. I think we're like, oh, but I just babysit like my brothers and sisters. Well, you know what? That's a huge responsibility. You're taking on a role in the family that is allowing your family to function. And I think that's huge, right? So I think family roles are important. And also, right, more a little bit more obvious, job titles and promotions, right? In your job, you were employee of the month, you were promoted to manager, right? Or you were promoted to lead social media organizer, you got a promotion. You want to highlight any type of promotion on here, any type of recognition. Do not feel shy about talking about your accomplishments, right? And remember, you have to pick three. Pick three, be concise, be detailed, because you only have 250 words. Okay, so you also want to balance them out. You don't want to dedicate 200 words to one achievement and then just 50 words to your last two. Make sure they're spread out and balanced so you're talking about each of them evenly. Okay, describe your financial need, explain changes in your financial or personal situation that will affect the upcoming academic year. This one, really important. I know sometimes we don't want to be like, I need money, but you know what? We can all use a little bit more money, especially when you're going to have to pay for tuition, right? Or job status has changed. Conditions have changed. This is really a place where you can fill in those gaps, right? For some of you who are leaving undergrad and going into credential, remember we spoke earlier, financial aid looks a little bit different and it's mostly in the form of loans. You're like, hey, I can't afford this $3,900 tuition per semester. It's quite a lot, right? Put it in this. Or, my laptop broke. I don't even have money for a new laptop. I don't need funds in order. Everything's done online and digitally. There's no way I can function with that one. You would put that in here. Financial loss due to like job status. I know during COVID threw a lot of curveballs. People were let go or they were working from home. That really affected their financial situation. I would still talk about COVID and the effects it's had on you financially. I think that's definitely something that you could still talk about. Family support. Maybe your family grew or it didn't, right? In some other cases. So how has that, shifted the responsibility for you and what you can either pay for or not pay for, what you're responsible for? Housing or food insecurity, those are very real things that affect our students all the time. So definitely this is the place where you can really let folks know, like, hey, I'm trying to do my best here. I'm trying to achieve my professional goals, but financially it's very difficult. When you're talking about the credential program, you have to pay to reapply to Cal State Long Beach, right? You have to pay to take certain tests. You have to pay, right? It seems like you have to pay for everything. So definitely put this on here and let them know, it costs to be successful. So those are the type of things I can really describe on here. So that is what I have for this. You all are definitely welcome to email me if you have any questions. And something else I would suggest that you do is when you have like a draft of your responses, if you feel open and comfortable sharing them with somebody else so that they could edit it, definitely do that. Get another pair of eyes before you submit. Before you submit, it's always good to get feedback, right? To do your edits and then submit. And then it's also just doing it. I know sometimes we just have to sit down, we get writer's block, but you just have to do it. Sit down, write, use this video to go through the questions and start jotting on ideas, create an outline, write your responses, and just submit it. That's all I can say. If you don't submit it, then you won't know if you were going to get that money, right? So there's nothing, you don't lose anything by submitting the application. You can only gain from it. So that's all I have.
Yay. Okay, just really quickly, I'm gonna put your email on the chat. So they
Yes,
could
please. Yeah.
cool.
Should I put the links to the videos on here too?
Oh yeah, that could work too.
Yeah, I don't know if folks were able to see if I dropped links in the chat.
I think so. Because
Okay.
it'll pop up. Yeah.
There's one link. And here's the one for the financial aid for credential students. Okay. Any questions you all want me to answer while we're still on here?
I have a question about the scholarships. If I apply to scholarships, do they get deposited into the bank account or do they get deposited into your beach account?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to say, actually, I don't want to answer wrong. So,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure. It makes me feel like it'll be through school because they say it'll be dispersed for the following semester. It makes me feel like they're linked to whatever financial aid package.
Mhm.
But I would, yeah, maybe verify that with them.
I got it's through e-refund. Because I got a scholarship before, like 2 semesters ago, and it was through e-refund. But I don't know if it like things change, so
It's
maybe
probably the same.
yeah. But I would also double check with like financial aid or like the
Mhm.
scholarship department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Will do. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also note you have to be a CSULB student for the following semester to get the funds. So if you apply, but you're not going to be a CSB student next semester, then you won't get it. That's one of the eligibility requirements.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.